We're in the city-county meeting room here at the Caldwell County Administration Building, the Alden E. Starnes Administration Building. I was always a big fan of Alden, so it's always great to come into this building that bears his name. I remember many meetings here with Alden as a commissioner. We're with Donald Duncan, who is the current Caldwell County manager, and we wanted to get together and have you give us an update on how Caldwell County is doing in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, which you and I were talking before we went on the air, the largest natural disaster that this country has seen.
Correct. Yeah, we have over 6 states affected, multiple dozens of counties. And the bigger issue is the sheer volume of it, because this is a temperate forest that's been hit. It's not a coastal area. It's not a desert. So you've got a massive amount of trees down. Just in Caldwell County alone, we were doing the calculations. If you take just imagine a football field, and I mean a full football field with end zones. So that's 22 yards. You take that, and if you had it stacked 12 feet high, the brush, there would be 290 of those in the estimate just for Caldwell County. And we were on the edge. We were on the periphery of the hardest hit areas of the storm. So when you add that up, if you had 290 fields, that would be more than the volume of the bowl of Panther Stadium. So if you looked at all that, it would flow out the top. That's one of 30 counties with debris, and 27 of them are hit much, much harder. So we're very strong in the debris cleanup right now. We have opened up our second debris management site, and that's really the key. If you think about a debris management site as an airport, you can only handle so much traffic in and out based on the size of your airport. So if you have one central location in the county, you can only handle about 10 trucks at a time. And so we really need to get to that 20 and 30 truck range to be able to handle the debris that we want. So we're looking for additional sites. And the problem with that is additional sites require environmental review. They really don't want us to go on private property, so the county or the cities just don't have 8 to 10 acres of flat ground sitting around that's not being used. It's going to be for something. So we have to try to negotiate to find other sites. And then you have environmental concerns with endangered species. You can't have it in the floodway or even the 100-year floodplain. So we have to negotiate to find the right site in the right locations. So if you're driving a debris truck, you want to pick up a load, return to the debris site, dump, and be back on scene to pick up the next load within 45-minute circle. And that means you can only get about 7 to 8 loads a day, depending on the amount of daylight hours. And then those guys work at night moving the piles to get it arranged to maximize the debris site locations. And then there's options for debris disposal. The option we're going to use is to mulch and use tub grinders, because we have root balls and things like that. So if you do tub grinders, you have to have room for all that mulch to be stored, and they have to be more than 300 feet from an occupied structure, because there's debris that could fly out of them. The alternative is to use what we call smoke curtains, where you're actually burning the waste under high pressure and high volumes of air. They're non-polluting, but they make a lot of noise, so you don't want to be in a neighborhood doing that. There's a lot of things that you got to take into consideration when siting a debris site.
And we spoke a few weeks ago when you came to the station. How far along have you gotten as far as debris removal? And also, I guess, have you made some repairs as well in the county?
Correct. So we've got about 700 loads that are already taken up off the ground, and that will accelerate. There's probably going to be somewhere close, we think, about 8,000 to 9,000 loads. Just depends. And then there's going to be multiple passes. So you'll have a pass through the entire county. We're working south to north. And then once you make that first pass, then the second pass will be for the heavier timbers, the stuff that's too big to carry in the back of a dump trailer that will require heavy equipment to come in and separate, like large root balls or multiple trees, or trees that are bigger than 5 foot in diameter, because you just can't carry the weight. So that'll be coming later. And then there is the stream impacts. So we've been spending all week trying to negotiate how we're going to tackle stream debris removal, because that's the biggest threat. If we have even a modest storm, we can have more debris washed down, damage bridges, damage other infrastructure that's just been repaired, or take out water lines, sewer lines, and fiber optics, things like that. We don't want to do that again. So working with FEMA, we've spent the last week negotiating with them when we can get into the streams and do that. And then we'll have to have permission from private property owners to be able to access and then go up the streams and take the debris out. And so there's a lot that has to happen, and that's going to be what we call winter work, because the leaves will be off the trees. You can do that during cold weather. You don't have to have, dry days, things like that, to remove debris out of the streams. So that's the next big project.
And how are the residents doing? I know that there's been people who have been displaced. How are your citizens doing that were affected?
So we have about 40 homes that are significantly damaged beyond 50%. We have another 40 to 50 that had sustained some level of damage that, where this carpet was damaged, flooring, sheetrock, things like that. So we're in the middle of C&D debris as well, which we call construction and demolition. Mm-hmm. And we're also very encouraged by the response we've had to FEMA. Our citizens right now, 7,000 homes have reported in to FEMA for potential damage and repairs to their home. These are lighter damages like, tree falling on a house, things like that, small flooding damage. We've had some that had total loss, and so they've been able to procure, temporary housing through a trailer. The other things that is damage that you can't see, which is your wellhead got damaged or it got submerged underwater, and so they lost that. And we're doing free water testing for everyone, and we also are doing, the state just announced free decontamination of your well. We'd like to get your well back up and running as soon as we can. Contact our health department, come to our disaster recovery center, and we can get you free testing and free decontamination of your well.
Donald Duncan, the Caldwell County Manager, providing an update, and of course we'll be staying in touch with you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you, Rob. We appreciate y'all.
Donald Duncan joining us. We are in the City-County meeting room here at the Caldwell County offices, the Alden E. Starnes Administration Building, and with Donald, I'm Rob Eastwood, WHKY News.